video on this channel in a while. Haven't made book content because I haven't really been reading ever since the fall semester started. All motivation was just yanked out of my soul. You know, it really just killed it. So I haven't really been reading, and if I am, a lot of it was for school, but I have gotten some new books recently, and I have been slightly more motivated to read, and I think some of these new books are kind of helping that motivation, because, you know, when you get a fresh new pile, it just, there's a little excitement there. And also some motivation because of this first book I'm going to talk about, but all of these books except this, all of these books except the first one are used books that I bought from places, but this one I did buy new, but it is still a book that I have acquired recently, and that is The Vampire, except every time I look at it I think vampire, but it's The Vampire, right? I don't yeah, The Vampire by John Polidori, though this edition, the Oxford World Classics edition, has other short stories in it, but I specifically bought it for The Vampire because I'm using it to write an essay. I'm writing a vampire related essay for school, but I bought this for that, and then I read it, and even though it wasn't like the most amazing thing I've ever read, it was entertaining, and it kind of reminded me of my love for classics, and that kind of has a little bit like got me motivated to read. And this book has like a really interesting backstory as well, which was also making me kind of like, literature, it's so crazy. But basically this short story was written during the same competition sort of thing, where Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein. If you know what I'm talking about, yeah. Okay, so now moving on to everything else. So my used books, so they're all very cheap, which is good. You know, if I'm in a reading slump, I'm not gonna go out to like Barnes & Noble and buy a full price book. That's a little crazy. We need the cheap books to motivate. So that's what's happening here. And we're gonna start with these two books that I bought from my college's library sale that they're having this past like couple days. Okay, so I picked up A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf, which I'm actually currently in the middle of right now, and you may be surprised, you may be asking, Ella, you haven't read this before? Not the whole thing, I'm sorry. I had to read parts of it for a class that I had before, but I never read the whole thing, and I just feel like it's a staple. Like, you need to have this on your shelf, and you need to have read it. So that's why I bought it, and I kind of stan Virginia Woolf, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? But I read Orlando from her, and like one of my favorite books now. That was, I don't know when I read that. I think that was this year. I don't know. And then the second thing I got from the sale was True Grit by Charles Portis, which is like a Western sort of book, but it's like about this young girl, I think she's 14, and like her father is killed, and it's kind of like a revenge story, I think, of her then trying to get back at his killer, basically. And I don't know, we kind of like a little revenge story with a underdog character because she's a 14-year-old girl in, when is this? I don't know when this takes place, but you know. And I think it's gonna be like a kind of a fast, exciting entertainment sort of read. So the rest of the books that I have are all books that I got from this other used book sale that happens 2 times a year around where I live, and I went to it and I got a lot of books from there. So first I'm gonna start with these 2 books, who are by the same author. And let's get a little backstory. Let's explain, because that's fun. But basically, I started reading 4 major plays by Henrik Ibsen, which includes 4 of his major plays. And I actually started reading this book solely because it was in the same edition as this one. I was like, yeah, let me just start reading all my Oxford World Classic editions. This was the only one that I had unread. So that's basically why I started reading it. And also, I mean, they're plays, they're short, easy to get through. I'm trying to like overcome this slump that I'm in. So I picked this up, not really knowing what to expect because I'm not a big play reader. But I've been thoroughly enjoying them. I've read A Doll's House and Ghosts, and I really like them. I like Ibsen's, he's kind of like a little feminist, you know? But I don't know, they're very interesting. So that inspired me to pick up 2 more of his books and actually another play. So I'll talk about those. So I have Peer Gynt, which sounded really interesting. It's actually a play in verse, so I was intrigued by that. But then it's like saying it's inspired by Norwegian folklore because Henrik Ibsen was a Norwegian writer. So since where are these books? So yeah, I've also been able to scratch off Norway on my list of countries for the World Reading Challenge, so that's fun. But yeah, so like Norwegian folklore, ugly trolls, I don't know. I don't know, it sounds interesting, I'm intrigued. And then I got this like fancy book. It was only $1. I think all of these books over here are like $1, $2-ish, but and this is just the works of Ibsen. And this one, it does have some of the plays that I've already read or are like included in these copies, but it did have some plays that I haven't read or aren't in those copies. So I thought I'd buy it because, I mean, more plays, but also it's just a cool book. I don't really have any books like this, so yeah. So there's my Ibsen moment. I'm in my Ibsen era. Cared, okay. Bean. So then reading those plays inspired me to, maybe I'm a play person, I don't know, I haven't really read many plays other than like Shakespeare or like things for school. So I picked up Saint Joan by Bernard Shaw. Mostly I don't know anything about the Joan, I don't know anything about Joan of Arc, but on the back it kind of was saying that this seemed like a feminism, creative evolution. Come down here. Oh my god. It kind of just sounded like a feminist retelling of Joan of Arc, but like from a man. I'm intrigued. I also got some fantasy, so let's talk about the fantasy books that I got. We'll just start here. I got Ship of Destiny and Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. Now this is the first and the third book in the Live Ship Trader series. They didn't have the second one, but these are really cool additions. I have tried to read the Farseer trilogy. I DNF'd it. I'm sorry. But I wanted to give Robin Hobb another try because everyone loves her, and this series about magic ships and pirates, I don't know, it sounded interesting, and I know you don't technically have to read like the other books to read this series, so we're gonna try it. But each of these books are like 800 pages, so I don't think that's gonna happen soon, but we'll try it. And I like these covers. And then I also got The Princess Bride by William Goldman, because I've heard lots of people talking about it, and it just seems kind of like a fantasy classic that I need to read, and I will read. I don't know when. It's a little bit long. Okay, it's really not, it's like under 500 pages, but these are two anthologies that I got that are like women focused anthologies. This one I started reading, and it's called Sisters of the Earth, Women's Prose and Poetry About Nature. And I've been really into nature focused books within this past year. I've talked about some on my channel before, and also, you know, women. Love women. So that's, yeah, I'm really not far into this at all, but I think it will be a nice time. And it's edited by Lorraine Anderson, so there's that. And then the second women thing was Women Poets from Antiquity to Now, selections from the world over. So this is a super long, it doesn't look super long, but it's like 700 pages, and it's what it says. It's just women poets. So I don't know when I'm gonna get to this, because 700 pages is kind of long, but I thought it would be a really interesting thing to read and kind of expose myself to new poets from maybe time periods or like places that I'm not as familiar with. So I think this will be a cool thing to also just have, you know? Just have all those women on my shelf. This is edited by Aliki Barstone and Willis Barstone. So there's that. And then I have two books left by the same author, who's an author I'm intrigued by. I'm intrigued by him, and that's John Steinbeck. And I have The Red Pony, which is a very short, so I might read this soon. It's about a boy and I think it's a boy. It's a boy and he's got a pony. I don't really know. And then Travels with Charlie in Search of America, which is actually a nonfiction book that John Steinbeck wrote, where he's just like traveling around America with his dog. And I've read East of Eden and To a God Unknown by him, and I really enjoyed both of them, but To a God Unknown just really surprised me and was a really unique book. So now I'm kind of like, whoa, John Steinbeck, he's kind of doing something. So I want to read a lot more of his books now. So those are those ones. And those are all the new books that I got recently. And I'm feeling more motivated to be reading, which is exciting. because it's okay to kind of be in a slump. I was kind of just letting it happen and just like whatever. But like literature is kind of a big passion of mine, and it has been for some years now, so it does feel good to kind of be getting back into it. So yeah. Oh. Thanks for watching this video. Maybe you got some recommendations, even though I can't really recommend them because I haven't read them, so who knows, they could suck. Okay, bye.